you everyone for joining us on the Moms for America podcast. I'm Debbie Carlitis, and I am so glad that you are here joining us today. You know what? When moms get together, we inspire one another. And we're here today to support and encourage you in the greatest work that you'll ever do, and that's being a mom. So today we have a wonderful guest. She happens to be a great friend of ours. She's a vice president of Moms for America. So she's a bigwig. She's also the national director of our signature program, which is called the Cottage Meetings Project. And that's what I want her to join us today to talk about, because this is something that you as a mama are going to want to get involved with. So welcome, Juleen.
Hi there, Vivian. Not Vivian, Debbie. Sorry. Hi, Debbie.
No.
How are you?
Vivian is here. She's our technical director. We want to say thank you to you, Miss Vivian, as well.
Thank
you, Juleen. You look lovely. I miss seeing you in person.
Welcome to my home. I decorated for the 4th the other day, so I'm bringing you right into my living room. I've got George and Thomas on my shoulder here, so we're in good company today.
You are. Oh, very, very, very nice. Lovely home, by the way. I've been there. Just beautiful. Well, listen, tell us a little bit about, every time that someone comes on the podcast, we want to meet the moms, briefly. Tell us a little bit about your family. You don't have to tell us the whole story, because I know moms get going on this, but how many children, a little bit about your hubby. Introduce us to the Jackson family.
Sure, Deb. Well, I'm a mama of 7, actually. 2 little boys passed away in infancy, but I always put them in the count. My first little babe and my last little babe died when they were babes, but I have 5 very wild and alive children, 26, 23, 21, 18, 13. I've got 2 children still left at home. 3 little kitties have flown the coop. I live in Chevy Chase, Maryland, just a stone's throw from the White House, about 15 minutes from Washington, D.C. And me and my good man, Al, have been married going on 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, everybody deserves a good award for 30 years. All right, let's talk a little bit about the cottage meetings. Hopefully, if you're a mama for Moms for America, you've heard us talk about the cottage meetings. But this is our signature program. Juleen teaches this. She has done an amazing job cultivating the moms and really educating them in such a special way. You are an amazing teacher, but tell us a little bit give us an overview for the moms that don't know about the cottage meetings.
Thank you, Debbie. Well, cottage meetings are simply just study groups, moms in communities and neighborhoods, 4 to 5 to 6 to 10 to 12 women coming together to learn principles of liberty and freedom. I mean, the stories and the miracles of America. And then, it's the most natural thing on the earth that when a mama learns and understands things, she then goes home and teaches them to her children or her grandchildren. And so that is the beauty of women coming together to share experiences, to teach one another, to learn from one another. I mean, look, we're not constitutional experts, or we haven't gone to law school, most of us, or we're not historians, but we come together. We typically always pray. And, when you invoke God in a conversation and in a discussion, it's particularly mothers, asking God to help them learn the things that they need to know so they can go home and shore up the 4 walls of their home. It's a really beautiful, special experience.
Well, when you just hear that, you're like, okay, where do I sign up? But let's give them a little bit more detail. These are 12 lessons. What are some of them? Can you tell us each of those just real quick?
Yeah. So
because this isn't just like, hey, ladies, let's get together and talk about George. This is like you come out with so much information that you really feel like you've gone to college, I think, in a good way.
Right. Well, so this is the manual. This is the Cottage Meeting Resource Manual, and it's 12 introductory lessons. And it's about an hour or 2 hours worth of materials that and you can just pick and choose a few stories, and there's 12 lessons. And what they do is they just kind of cement in a mother's mind that she will be the best teacher that child will ever have, that she will be the most qualified to teach her children, her grandchildren, these things. And so, like the first one is called Anchored in Hope. If mama And grandma is anchored in hope. Her children will not be despondent, running to and fro. They will sense the vibe and the good energies, that all will be well, that God will provide, that this is a special, unique country, and we're entitled to blessings if we do our part. And so it teaches moms how to stay anchored in hope. And then the next one is no place like home, within the four walls of our home. And there's one called Ladies First. You know, if we can educate the mothers, the men will be educated, the children will be educated. And then teaching children the foundation of faith and the valor of virtue and the power of patriotism. And I love, there's a great lesson on teaching the love of history and liberty through stories. I mean, it's just chock full of the most amazing stories throughout history that really are not being taught in the schools, because oftentimes these stories invoke God. So any, reference to God has slowly through the decades been pulled out of our public school systems. So, and I've had some just amazing experiences with my kids as I've taught them certain stories, and then they've come to me in their adult years, telling me how in their dark, nervous, scary moments, they remember this story of George Washington in Valley Forge, or George Washington in Mount Vernon, or Thomas Jefferson, leaving his home in Monticello when he didn't want to write the Declaration of Independence, and kind of the impetus of them doing hard things when they wanted to kind of shrink, And so that's a great lesson. And then we teach, how to teach children love of liberty through art and poetry and literature and music. We have a lesson on how to teach your children the Constitution. We have another lesson on the law of the harvest, how to teach your children to love to work and to be self-reliant. And then our last little lesson on raising this next generation of patriots. You can do it, Mama. And when they go through those 12 introductory lessons, they now understand the magnificent role they have and the prime teacher that they will be in the lives of their children with these principles. And it's transformative. It's life-changing to a woman. And if it's life-changing to a woman, it will be life-changing to that home.
Yes. This is it. It all starts with the moms, doesn't it? Then we bring it home and we talk about it at the kitchen table, or we catch our child on the deck and say, did you ever know this? Did you hear this? This is what we're always teaching, right? As moms, we're always educating. We're always nurturing. And sometimes the thing that I love about this is I feel like as moms, we're always kind of giving, but this gives to the moms. So then we have the tools to give to the children. It sounds like a lot, but moms are doing this, once a month, twice a month, and for a couple of hours. How does this look when we bring this into our home? I know we say, so we call up our 10 girlfriends and we say, hey moms, we're getting together. We're going to do something that I kind of say this is like a patriotic Bible study, but it's not. But kind of like that. Some people say it's like it's inviting people to your home or wherever. And you say, listen, if you want to train your kids, if you want to learn and really, I guess, pour into your children hope, come on over. How do you invite them? How do we start this? Give us this thing.
I mean, it's like, that's a biblical principle. God rewards efforts. So I always say the hardest part about starting a cottage meeting is getting out a little piece of paper and writing down the names of the girlfriends or the neighbors or the church ladies that you think would be interested. And then in your mind, picking a time and a date that might work. And then putting a little email together or a phone call or however you want to get the word out. I just did an email invite. And then you type up that little email, you push send. That's the hardest part almost, because that thing is going to happen once you, in your mind, I have determined a time, a date, and sent out the invite. And so, the first cottage meeting I became a part of, we would meet once a month for about 2 hours. I always say an hour and a half, but inevitably when mamas get together, it's
right.
Still, it's hard to do in and out 1 hour,
Right.
And so an hour and a half, 2 hours once a month. And then it was so interesting. It was just like 6 women in a small town in Oregon. And then we'd go home and some mamas would teach what we had learned at the dinner table. Some would teach their children these little principles of liberty we were learning from a book called The 5,000 Year Leap. That's what we did our first cottage meeting because there wasn't Moms for America. So one of the moms was watching Glenn Beck. I didn't even know who Glenn Beck was 10 years ago. And he held up his book, 5,000 Year Leap. And he said, mothers, you need to get together and study these principles and then teach them to your children. So, you know, the little girls in my first cottage meeting met once a month for about 2 hours. They went home. Some would teach at the dinner table. Some would teach at night. I would teach these little principles in our little Bible study that I had with my children in a morning devotional. We called it our little morning devotional before we got the kids off. So I just began to weave in a few little principles of liberty. And then when I moved to another state, I put the word out to the moms, you know, put out a little email, and these mamas wanted to meet every week. So, you know, who am I?
You can do this either way, right? Like I'm going to be starting one. I want to do one twice a month. So in 6 months, I've got my cottage meeting series done with my moms out here. Or like you said, you could do it once a month for a year, or you could do it every week for however all that adds up for you, if you got to, you know, take off or whatever. But this is what's the beauty of this. You can make this as personal as you want. You can make this in someone's home. You can do it at your church. You can rotate homes. I mean, you can have dinner and then have a cottage meeting together. I think when we get together and encourage one another, there's no stopping us.
We really are God's secret weapon. You know, I think that's why he loves his daughters, you know, because he knows our ability to touch hearts and to change lives, you know.
All right. So let's talk about some of the results. We keep getting email after email saying, oh my goodness, the cottage meeting was amazing. Because of this, I'm doing that. Or now I am running for school board, or now I am having my own cottage. What tell us some of the stories, because there's nothing like hearing them. I know I have some here that I can read, but let me have you share them, because when you're building an army of moms, raising the next generation patriots, it really does get very exciting, and moms get engaged. So what are we hearing? Tell us about some of your mama stories.
Well, most immediately, I've been teaching an online since COVID. We went online. And so teaching last summer, we have the 12 introductory lessons all online. And I say moms are COVID quality, but nevertheless, the lessons.
We've all had to be online now.
We're getting used to, you know, COVID quality.
I know.
But the spirit is there though. And so what I've been teaching for the last 6 months is a series called Healing of America series. And it's a 16-week class. And I taught the first 16 weeks from January to May. And it was so much fun to hear the impact that it had on the mothers. Indeed, we had one little mom from Pennsylvania, about 3 or 4 classes into it, an opportunity came to run for the school board. And you know, we always talk in our cottage meetings that God is going to inspire you to do something, and it's going to look different for every mama out there. So when the opportunity presented it to her to run for the board, she did, and she won her primary. And she told me,
isn't that terrific?
She said, if I win the primary, I'm going to probably win the position. And so we've got another mama in New Jersey who's writing a grant now to start a private school. She's just going to start her own little school.
Look at this. This is amazing.
Several mamas around the country that are starting their own cottage meetings. I'm going to speak to a group in Fairfax County, Virginia. I'm going to help teach their first little lesson, because it's only about an hour from me in Chevy Chase, Maryland, this Thursday. And I had one little, I get so many little stories. A grandma in New York who goes over to her grandchildren's house once a week now and has kind of like a patriotic evening where they do crafts, they make snacks, she tells stories. Another mama in Arkansas, they have movie nights every Friday night. Well, they're watching patriotic movies now. They pop popcorn, she makes tickets, and they'll watch like Liberty Kids or a great show on Joan of Arc or Monumental. Or I'm always giving suggestions and ideas, and there's great suggestions and resources of videos to watch for your children too, at all age levels, young children, teenagers.
And let me just mention it when you say that too, because we're always looking, and this is another thing for the cottage meetings, we're always looking for, I mean, we can figure this all out ourselves, or we can just get together, use our materials, because there has been a lot of investigation, a lot of developing of this materials. In fact, coming in the fall, we're reworking all of our materials. We're going to have a new video series for the cottage meetings. We're going to kind of do a bit of a new release for the fall. So this is a lot of information. You don't have to go find all this.
Right.
We say, here it is. Here's some great ideas.
Debbie, this is one of my treasures. In fact, this is my second book because my first one fell apart and had rubber bands around it. I have used this because this has quotes, stories, videos, scriptures. Everything. I mean, I have taken this book around the country and taught from this, but you know what, most importantly, I've done with this book? I've pulled it on my lap in the early morning hours and taught to my children straight out of this book. And it's a treasure to me because it's just got everything I need. I don't have to, certainly I've collected wonderful books through the years in my I Love America library. But if I didn't have anything but this one book and these 12 introductory lessons, I would have really enough material to teach for a long time and a lot of, sources to pull from.
So when we sign up and we say we're going to do a cottage meeting, and the reason why I kind of want to get this discussion going is maybe the summer right now, although we will talk about the Healing of America before we leave, which is the present series that you're doing right now online. But, right now people are doing vacations, I get it, but we want to plan for the fall. And I love our moms to just start getting this vision together. Like, what does the fall look like? I mean, summer is almost halfway over, right? 4th of July, then we're back and we're almost, in the school year again. But moms just planning for this and kind of planting the seed, signing up, getting your hostess package, start talking to your moms and say, would you like to be a part of a group at my home? I know so many moms. I just want to tell you this, Juleen, I went to our school board meeting for the very first time. Okay. I've never had a lot of issues here in our school board. And I met moms that have never been engaged before, but now they are very engaged. They're concerned about critical race, about the sex ed that's coming, about masks, about vaccinations. So there are new moms all over getting engaged for whatever is close to their heart. But I see those moms saying, okay, I've never done anything like this. I don't even know where to begin. But a cottage meeting, that will change their entire circle of friends that maybe have never gotten engaged for whatever reason.
That is so true because I think so many times mamas might be in neighborhoods or communities and they're thinking they're the only one.
Right, exactly.
Worried about, what their child is coming home and saying, they heard in school or the teacher taught them, and they just feel helpless. They don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And so it is so empowering to begin to gather with like-minded mamas, 4 or 5 mothers, and begin to learn these things and begin to realize, look, I'm not the only mother that's concerned, and what can we do about it? And sometimes the answer lies right with each other. It's so great to get ideas and hear what some moms are doing in their homes, or, you laugh and you weep and you cry, I mean, we are at war, and we are fighting these battles for our children, for the heart and soul of America, but the heart and soul for our children, because our children are being indoctrinated. So unless we counter what they're being taught in school, they're going to assume that oftentimes what they hear on social media or in the schools or in the universities is the truth, And so I realized that if I can teach my children in the home, and if I can also, teach grandchildren and grandmas are like, grandmas, we can't have you retire. We need the
grandmas more than ever.
Yes. Oh my word. And I'm understanding that as I'm entering into that time of my life. Right. But, if mama and dad, and it's wonderful how dad kind of gets converted and sees the light when mother knows, even dad gets on board. And then you begin to teach these ideas to your family together. And that's really powerful when children can see mom and dad on board. But, if you can armor up your children at home, when they go out in the world, they can discern truth from error. They can tell when they're sitting in the classroom, that's not right. We talked about this at home already.
Right. And so, don't they come back then and talk about it again with you?
Oh, it makes for the most fabulous conversations at home. because they'll say, Mom, you're not going to believe what, I heard in school today.
Mhm.
And one of my little daughters, who's 21 now, said something so cute to me when she was in her teens. She said, Mom, I learned more about history in our home than I do in social studies or
Oh,
civics.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
And
I'm
she didn't
sure.
realize what a compliment she had given me. But, we really, we want to be our kids' greatest teachers. And once again, we don't have to be a law degree to be able to teach the Constitution. And
Right.
in the cottage meetings, you begin to realize how you can teach your children the most important things.
And as a mom too, and I've heard you say this many a times, education leads to activism. And now that doesn't mean that you have to run for office, but that just means that your heart gets so inspired. And I think when your heart gets inspired like that, that's the Lord working miracles, and he'll tell you what to do. This may be just getting involved in your church. This may be helping a candidate. This may be running for something, or this may be just teaching moms and mentoring. I mean, and I don't say just teaching because obviously this is all important, but activism has many different looks for us when God plants in us a calling.
Oh, that is so true. I mean, what God inspires you to do is going to be different
Yes.
from what God inspires me to do. I often tell the mothers, if nothing else, you're just inspired to begin to pray morning and night with your children, and
Yes.
to kneel and to pray and invoke God in your home, and so it's going to look different for
Mhm.
everyone. But yeah, that's the beauty of it. I mean, it's not like it's a formula. If you do this, then you do this. I just say, when you learn these things and you get them in your heart and you continue to learn them. I mean, I consider studying about liberty and freedom like reading the Bible. You don't just read a story one time and go, okay, I'm good. I mean, I study every day little
Mhm.
parts of history, and I read books and that kind of thing. And when you're in the Word, when you're in, the Scripture, and when you're studying these great, principles and miracles of America, little gentle ideas dispel upon your heart and your mind.
That's right.
It's beautiful how it
You'll
happens.
be shocked, right? You'll be shocked on
I
what
mean,
God's going to
I tell
tell you
mamas,
and reveal.
you just ask God, and you just sit back and wait for miracles to unfold in your life, in your marriage,
Love
within your
this.
children, neighborhoods, communities. I've seen what happened in my life when I began to study, and I've seen it with too many moms around the country that are having these cottage meetings, and it's magnificent, really, truly, Debbie.
Well, we can see why Juleen is such an amazing teacher. Like, I just want to sign up 5 times now for the cottage meeting, but I can only sign up one time. So let's just go over that again. So start making some plans mentally, Mom, um, about including a cottage meeting in your area. It's 12 lessons. You sign up on our website. We're going to put all that here underneath us during the podcast so we can get everybody the information. You get a hostess kit. You get your mamas together. We're going to have some updated materials, some videos, everything that you need to train yourself up and your friends and encourage and inspire and really cause a great revolution in your area. And then those moms will go on and change the world. And then your children are going to be the patriots that maybe, if you're not going to teach them, the world's going to teach them. And I think that's the hardest thing for us to realize, that we kind of think, oh, we're the teachers all the time, but we have to be so much on our game now because the world is coming at with them with so many lies and so many distractions that it's like, wow, we want to talk about burden up for the battle, because we're fighting for our kids, just like you said, Juleen. Tell us about the Healing of America. In case moms want to join, in the next week or two here, there is an option right now that they can do online with you teaching.
Right, right. So it's a 16-week class. It's free. All you have to do is go on to momsforamerica.us, register on the spot, and you'll get a Zoom link when the day before and the hour before the class. It's as easy as that. There is little manuals. There's 4 manuals that I recommend you get. We teach 4 little seminars over the 16 weeks, and I'm starting a brand new seminar number 2 on the Constitution from the viewpoint of the founding fathers this Wednesday. So it's Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's just
Wednesday,
1 hour.
11 a.m. Yeah.
11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Thursday nights, we have a class I teach with my husband. because, you know, really when you learn these things, ultimately you want your husband to know and revere and understand these things too. So
That's
me and my
right.
husband teach the Thursday class, and that is 7:30 Mountain Standard Time. So it's a little late. I'm East Coast time. It's 9:30 East Coast time. But hey, you know, we're in a war, girls. So yeah, we can do it. We can do it. Take a little nap on Thursday. But it's an hour long. I went through this Healing of America about years ago, and it gave me the bedrock of my foundation for history and understanding how, you know, God used the people that he did to form this country, and to understand the Constitution, the 7 articles, the 27 amendments. And then we talk about how in the world have we gotten to where we are?
How did this happen? What is going on? Somebody saying to me, what is going on? I don't know. That's why we got to be ready.
Well, you know, we don't need to scratch our heads, because we learned systematically how it happened almost a century ago, when they began to remove God from the schools and remove the influence of family and the attacks on religion and the moral fiber, and who were the organizations and the groups that did this. It's fascinating because we're living it. And then the last seminar is how to heal America, how to heal ourselves, how to heal our families, how to heal our communities, our schools, our state, and even the nation. And so it is the most empowering series, that Healing of America series. So you can jump on. We have them all recorded. So if you missed the first 4 classes, you can just watch them, you know, on our website. And then you can watch them live, or go back and watch them when you can.
All right. So plan for the cottage meeting in your area for the fall. That's what I would say. Kind of get that in your mind. And then if you want to jump on for Healing of America, Juleen is doing that 2 times a week. And we're kind of in the beginning of this. So there's no right or wrong of jumping in on the summer series. You sign up for it. Vivian, our technical director, who is amazing, she will send you some information and get you also all signed up. You do have to have a Zoom account, but once you got your Zoom account, you're in, you're done. And then you can go ahead and participate with Juleen and everybody there. So this is exciting. Thank you, Juleen, for joining us. We love encouraging moms. We love training them up. We love inspiring them. I'm inspired once again, just chatting with you. You're awesome, as always.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you, babe. To everybody else, thanks again for joining us on our podcast here. Remember, we are moms changing our world one home at a time. So tune in again. We're here every week on the Moms for America podcast. Thank you. God bless, and have a great day, Mama.